and both sides have shown little willingness to compromise on the coach's buyout clause. West Virginia University's Brad Bowden has more on the story.
Since Rich Rodriguez resigned as the head coach at WVU, he has been reluctant to pay the $4 million buyout in his contract. Now facing a lawsuit, Rod says verbal promises weren't kept. The athletic department says they've lived up to their word.
We've always made sure that we have lived up to commitments that we would make with regards to issues, personnel issues, facilities, and so on. So we're very proud of that.
For 2 months, the feud has been making headlines across the country. In a January 24th letter to the university, Rodriguez said he would only pay less than half of his buyout because of broken promises. Some of those include control over sideline passes, a $5 admission charge on game days for high school coaches, special basketball seating for recruits, and control of donations made to the football program. Attorneys say it's been a mess, but things should settle out.
Protracted litigation is not in the best interests of either party. So it would make sense that the parties would agree to settle if Rodriguez would acknowledge the breach.
On January 29th, in what his lawyers called a gesture of good faith, Rodriguez filed a $1.5 million letter of credit right here at the U.S. District Court in Clarksburg. As for the WVU faithful, they say Rodriguez owes more.
I think when he signed the contract, he knew if he leaves early, he has to pay a certain amount of money. And I mean, what's the point of a contract if you're not going to pay or follow the guidelines of it?
But unfortunately, you know, whatever's in writing is what goes. So I think he knows what he got into, and it's definitely his responsibility to pay up. That money could do a lot for our athletic program.
And while some WVU fans think Rodriguez should pay the entire buyout, others are looking toward the future with their new coach. From West Virginia University, this is Brad Bowden for OSTN News.
Tony Reale has arguably one of the coolest jobs in sports television today. He's the host of ESPN's Around the Horn and the stat boy of Pardon the Interruption. University of Maryland's Sam Duvall got an insider look at the man and his mute button.
Tony Reale is one of the most recognizable faces on ESPN. On weekday afternoons, he mutes sports writers and corrects Tony Kornheiser. I was able to sit down with Reale as he opened up about his past and his love of corrections.
Tony Reale, the host of Around the Horn.
My man.
Glad to have you with us. Nice to see you again. Now, I used to intern on this show.
You did, yes. We have a whole Hall of Fame devoted to Sam in his internship days. Yeah.
And got to see what it's like working on a sports television show day in, day out. How is it waking up in the morning knowing that your entire job is to do sports?
Coolest thing in the world. It's what I would be doing from my cubicle if I was doing something else, you know. And waking up and watching SportsCenter, that's not work. And going to work and talking about last night's game, that's not work. And getting down and sitting in this desk and talking to Mariotti and Page and using a mute button and then a scoring system, that's not work either, you know. No, it's great. Not 1 minute of my day is spent working.
Did you ever think you were going to be here where your job is to tell people how to talk for television sports?
Not in a million years. I never thought I would be in charge of anything that involved talking. But I do enjoy being the person who controls the flow. Even when I'm doing Stat Boy, I've always liked calling people out. When they said, you're going to be the guy who's a sidekick that kind of corrects our mistakes, and I said, that's the part I was born to play. I took beatdowns from my brothers my whole life because of that. I do like being the person who controls. We always thought of this as, you know, a barroom discussion, you know, and that's not to elevate it to something bigger, you know. That's what it is. It's just four people, you know, guys, girls talking about sports, and I'm just going to moderate and call somebody's baloney when they throw it at you.
I've seen your desk up at PTI.
The biggest desk in the office.
It's the biggest desk in the office, which somehow you pulled that one off because it's got all those books on it. So what led you to get into all the statistics and know all this, that you can be Stat Boy?
20 years of growing up without a date. That's what you will do to a person when you don't really, you know, have much of a life. You look at the baseball encyclopedia. You look at the basketball encyclopedia. I was a voracious reader growing up. I liked to read about the history of the games. You know, I know 1920s and 30s and 40s baseball just as well as I know the 80s and 90s. And I think that was the first thing that kind of Kornheiser and Wilbon were like, who is this kid and what decade was he born in?
Now, if there's something you could have a day where you could be one of the guys out there, would you want to be one of the guys bantering one day?
I think that would be interesting. Sometimes, you know, sometimes have plenty to say. I don't like to say it when I'm moderating the show because it's probably not what the people want to hear at that moment. But I would love to do that. I don't know if I would be comfortable with anybody else sitting in my chair.
You don't like to give up that show. You have a fairly long Iron Man streak yourself here at Around the Horn.
I do, but that's all right. Like I said, I got the job because I was, asked to do it one day, and they never told me to stop. I'm not going to take a day off until they carry me out of here.
Until they force you to do it. Well, thanks a lot, Tony.
Sam, always a pleasure. Come back anytime you want, but you're not taking my job.
We'll try. Thanks a lot, Tony.
This is Sam Duvall for OSTN News.
Harvard University is a place well known for its academics. So, what brought Paris Hilton there? Alexa West has the story.
Charlize Theron takes home this year's Hasty Pudding Woman of the Year award, but not far behind, the Lampoon awards Paris Hilton with their own title. The humor magazine, best known for its mock articles and satire, followed the Hasty Pudding theatricals in honoring the women of showbiz. However, not everyone gets the joke.
The Hasty Pudding Theatrical Club usually picks a man and woman of the year, and then this year the Lampoon, a couple days before that announcement typically happens, picks Paris Hilton as their woman of the year, and sort of like the same name type of thing going on.
It was a joke in typical Lampoon fashion, and was neither really that funny nor really that entertaining.
The Lampoon shocked the media when they announced their award to Hilton. Some major news outlets mistakenly reported the Hasty Pudding was giving her the honor, outraging alumni and ticket holders.
The award started in 1951 as a way to sort of garner additional publicity for our annual show, and now we're honoring our 58th annual Woman of the Year, Charlize Theron.
Representatives from the Lampoon declined to comment. While Paris and the Lampoon try their best to upstage the Hasty Pudding, the main event is still Theron.
Next week, the Hasty Pudding Theatricals will honor Christopher Walken as Man of the Year. The question remains, will the Lampoon have a male honoree as well? For OSTN News, I'm Alexa West from Harvard University.
There's more OSTN news coming your way. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Rex Lee, and you're watching OSTN News.
Some political supporters go to great lengths to show their enthusiasm.
And the University of Arizona's Carolyn Carver thinks she may have found Hillary Clinton's biggest fan.
A mile above the Sonoran Desert, the old mining town of Bisbee, Arizona nestles into a quiet canyon high in the Mule Mountains. And locals like Jim Huffman don't seem to mind the slow pace.
It's not too hot, not too cold, and people are real friendly.
But lately, it's not the town's popular main street that's grabbing attention. It's a colorful local artist you can see coming a mile away.
I can use what I'm best at, which is art and just inspiring other people to have a fun time.
It's Gretchen Baer's way to mix her love of art with her devotion to presidential candidate Hillary Clinton. And it's called the Hill Car.
I love the fact that anywhere I go, I get to promote Hillary.
And it only took her 3 days from start to finish. Baer says her main goal is to talk Hillary Clinton into coming down to Bisbee and visiting the Mexican border. But the people of Bisbee have mixed reviews about Baer's rolling art on wheels.
I love the car. It's amazing. Unbelievable.
As an art project, I think it's fabulous. And I think the car itself is very cool. I'm not going to comment on the politics of it.
Even if you're not a Clinton supporter, Baer says she hopes you can still appreciate the car for what it is.
Something different than the ordinary.
Which doesn't only describe the car, but Gretchen herself.
Carolyn Carver for Arizona State University for OSTN News.
Baer says her ultimate goal is to convince Senator Clinton to make a quick stop in Bisbee while she's on the campaign trail.
That's a wrap for this week. Remember, you can check your OSTN news anytime at OSTN.tv.
Thanks for watching, Nation. See you on the flip side.